I didn't change the banner. Oops. Let me just change the banner real quick. All right, we are live. Live reaction for England versus Argentina. I guess we'll go ahead and hop straight into it right there. We both watched the game. It kind of played out almost exactly like how I thought it would. I told Spencer and our other friend that we're in a group chat with that, like, hey, like, you guys want to bet the game, go ahead. I have no opinion on it. My heart says England because that'd be awesome for England to make the final. They haven't been in the final and who knows how long. They haven't won a World Cup since 1960, 1966. And, they looked really good against all the competition that they had. Harry Kane, Jude Bellingham, they're the golden boys, I would say. And then you have this Argentina team who's undeniably good. Like, they won the World Cup last year. They won the Copa Americana. I think that's what it's called. And they also, they're the number one team in the world for a reason. So can't count them out. But my brain said just like Argentina is going to somehow find a way to win this game. Whether, the refs are involved or not, who knows? And not so much of this game as in past games, but yeah, it kind of played out how I thought it would. It was unfortunate. I don't know. I would have loved England to go through, and me and Spencer will probably debate this, but we have a Spain and Argentina final. In my opinion, I don't think it's going to be that exciting. It's going to be a pretty slow game. I see it 1-0. Probably Spain.
Yeah, I mean, death, taxes, and Argentina finding a way to win late. It's just, 85th and 92nd minute goals. England looked good. I don't know. For me, it's the World Cup semifinals. Like, I'm going to play it at least to some extent. I've had some success picking correct scores. And I felt like it was going to be a 1-1 draw because we really haven't seen a game in a while go past regulation. I shouldn't say that. Argentina's last game went to past regulation on Saturday. But, you got to give your hat off to Argentina. I know Argentina had received a lot of help from the refs, but this game was won by them, and England kind of just gave up the lead. I mean, they were threatening late game, but England had all their guys back, and it seemed like they were just going to hold them. But then Enzo Fernandez shoots a rocket, the top of the box, kind of right side, gets past Pickford, and 7 minutes later, Messi, right foot, not his golden left foot, crosses it in for a beautiful header by Lautaro Martinez. And Argentina's punched their ticket and have a chance to go back-to-back for the first time in, I don't know, probably early 2000s. We've possibly had a back-to-back World Cup winner.
No, it's been like I'm echoing for some reason. It's been let me remove this. It's been like, I think I'm still echoing a little bit. Hold on.
58 to 62.
Yeah, it's been like 50 plus years since a team has repeated. It's
almost 70.
Yeah.
70
like teams have made the final but haven't won.
Wow. So I was very off by that. But hats off to Argentina, and I guess it's not coming home.
Yeah. Very sorry, I'm trying to post this on Snapchat as well, just to say that we're live doing this. But I mean, England showed you why they're England. Anthony Gordon with an amazing goal. Were there some questionable calls? I mean, this game was riddled with fouls, and I was surprised it took them so long to issue a yellow card. And I get it. You don't want to set the precedent like any foul is going to be a yellow card per se. That could be extremely important going into the final. Or I don't even remember if they carry over from the semifinal to the final. Anyways, but extremely important nonetheless. And they didn't issue a yellow card in this game until like nearly halftime. So that was very surprising. It was getting very chippy, and of course it was getting chippy at the end of the game as well. I wouldn't say a ton of necessarily questionable calls per se. I think they did review it, but that first Argentina goal where they passed the ball to Messi, and then it was the second goal. They passed the ball to Messi, and based off the line, it was close to possibly being offside, and then he crosses it in for the header to go up 2-1. I don't think on the commentators announced or told people whether or not they reviewed VAR. Supposedly they did, but they didn't announce it saying like, oh, we're gonna like have VAR review this for a potential offside. It is what it is. They say they could have reviewed. They did review it for a VAR review. I'm not entirely sure. I think the VAR is a total opposite discussion to be had, whether it's necessarily good for the game. And I get it, because soccer is one of those unique sports where the ref in the center has so much power. He can literally dictate the entire game. He individually can decide a game. Unlike, I'd probably say, any other sport, because you think of NFL, they have all the linesmen, you have the main referee, but if someone throws a penalty, they go up and huddle and they discuss it. Versus the ref, it's like kind of what I say goes, unless it's, they do their VAR review. And to be fair, I don't watch a ton of soccer. Maybe Spencer can speak more on this, or some of our other friends that watch more soccer. That's just kind of the nature of the game and just how the cookie crumbles for soccer, being the ref has a lot of power. VAR, so far, me being a somewhat casual soccer watcher, I don't think it's necessarily great for the game, especially when you do a ton of these, just like art review, big call review. I don't know. It stops the flow of the game, and these hydration breaks have been horrible as well. That was a terrible decision, and they're 100% doing it for the money. That's just like changed the game. So, but yeah, then again, like, can't super discredit Argentina, what they've done. I told Spencer, Argentina is literally the 2024 Kansas City Chiefs, where if there's going to be a call, they're probably going to be somewhat in Argentina's favor. We've seen that throughout the World Cup. They always somehow find a way to win, and even in the most desperate of circumstances, being down 0-2, should have been 0-3 to Egypt, and coming back and not only winning that game in extra time, winning the game in regulation. I don't think they've gone to an extra time game except for that Cape Verde.
Switzerland.
They go to extra time with Switzerland? Oh, yeah, you're right. So, yeah, 2 games going to extra time. And they just find a way to win. And unfortunately, Argentina's exactly like the Kansas City Chiefs, where I'm like, when they played the Eagles in the Super Bowl, I'm like, I can't bet on, or you can't, like, you don't have to bet on Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, but you just don't want to bet against them. And that's exactly how I feel against this Argentina team, because things just kind of always go their way. That's just how it's been. Like, I don't think anyone can disagree with that, whether it's, ref intervention, or they just somehow pull out these miracle goals or miracle looks, and that wins them the game.
Yeah, I mean, you talked about a script, and I'm just looking at the line for the final on Sunday, not to jump ahead, but they've had this picture of Lionel Messi and baby Lamine Yamal, Messi bathing Lamine Yamal. I don't know if you want to pull it up or.
Yeah, but it's not actually Lamine Yamal. You know that, right?
I didn't know that. They kept referencing it. I thought it was really Lamine Yamal. Is it not?
I mean, people have been saying it is. To be fair, I haven't looked a ton into it, but I don't think it is. Yeah, it's like 20-year-old Messi holding baby Lamine Yamal. I have to look
No,
this up.
I mean, like,
Perplexity.
it's Lamine Yamal. Like, today.com, Yahoo Sports, ESPN. I don't think all these people would be lying.
All right, Perplexity will prove this. It is real.
Yeah, I mean, they've been putting in our face. It's not like it was just a meme I saw. Like, ESPN showing it from baby pictures to World Cup final opponents. So if that's not a script, I don't know what is. But yeah, I mean, before we jump into that game, do we want to briefly review our great dictators fall?
Yeah, it was unfortunate. I had a bet where just because, I mean, France to advance, that was probably like the most bet on thing out of anything for that France-Spain game. I played it as both teams to score, and then I also added in if France is going to score, Mbappe is going to be involved somehow, whether him scoring the actual goal or assist. So I got goal or anytime goal or assist and both teams to score, 2-leg parlay. Unfortunately, that did not cash just because France had very few looks and they couldn't cash in on some of the limited looks that they had. And Spain does what they do, They play the game super slow. They try to control the ball 70+% of possession and score one goal, and that's it. Win 1-0, maybe 2-0, like they did against France. So
yeah, I mean, I guess Mbappe did his Mbappe special. Absolutely nothing.
Yes.
Super unfortunate because without knowing that Argentina was going to win, that's what everyone wanted for a final. France versus Argentina, round 2, because the last World Cup was maybe the best World Cup game ever. France being down 2-0, then tying it. They both scored an extra goal in extra time, right? Because it was 3-3. Then to lose in penalties, Messi gets his first World Cup and possibly back-to-back on Sunday. But super unfortunate. Mbappe had a kind of a horrible game. I don't think he had a shot on target. Lost a lot of his dribbles. Didn't even get that many touches. I think maybe less than 10, or if not around that number. But it doesn't just fall on him. They have the Ballon d'Or winner, Ousmane Dembele, didn't show up. Michael Olise, kind of their cam, center attacking mid, who's been handing out all the assists to their wingers or strikers, just didn't show up. And yeah, I mean, you hate to say it, but it's kind of like, the Lakers when they had Shaq and Kobe. Anything short of a championship, it's a disappointment. So hats off to Spain. People were writing them off when they went 0-0 in their opening match versus Cape Verde, but they have their style, as you stated. Control the possession and just get your goals and get out of there. So nothing super flashy, but yeah, they headed off to go play Argentina on Sunday.
Yeah, and I see the exact same thing happening in the final where you have Spain having majority possession. I don't even know what was the possession looking like for this game. I know Argentina had a ton of possession at the end just because England was essentially just trying to defend. I would be very interested to see what it says 64-36 for the entire game. I would love to see what the possession was up until that point. I can't really remember. Maybe it was a little bit more split. So it'll be interesting who wins the possession battle in that game. That's 100% going to dictate who wins that game. If Spain can dominate possession, they're going to have the greatest chance to win. If Argentina can score a goal early, put the pressure on Spain, then I think that's what Argentina's game plan is. It's like, we can't let Spain sit back and do their thing. We need to pressure them and score a goal.
Yeah, it's kind of almost a unstoppable force meets an immovable object. Argentina always just seems to just score goals in bunches and score goals when they need to. And Spain has given up 1 goal the entire World Cup. Is that correct?
Yep, 1 goal.
one goal to Belgium off of kind of like a fluky header, and it's unfortunate because I think I had Belgium not to score or under 2.5. I think it went. They won in regulation 2-1. So yeah, super excited for that. But before that, on Saturday, I honestly don't like it. I get it because it's probably for podium purposes, but if you lost in the semifinals, I don't really want to play another game. Like, I'm pissed off, and why am I going to play for bronze? I know they do it in the Olympics, and that's probably why they do it in FIFA World Cup, but I assume you like France to beat England?
Yeah, let me look at the odds. I would be very surprised if France is not an overwhelming favorite in this game. I think this one's kind of going to be a goal fest in a sense where they're not going to be playing a ton of defense, in my personal opinion.
Yeah, France is plus 105 regulation.
Yeah, what is it to advance? Let's see.
I guess it's not to advance, it's just to win.
Yeah, but it's like, that's 90 minutes though. They don't have full match. Good plus game. This is just third place finisher. So yeah, essentially, I'm pretty sure who wins the game. If wins the third. Okay. At least I'm pretty sure this isn't. Yeah. Okay. I'm looking at Kalshi, so it's 63% for France, which makes sense, and I would probably have it like that as well.
Cool. Yeah, I will probably play France to win and parlay it with an Mbappé goal because I don't think there's any chance, and I can look stupid come next week, but Mbappé is going to get his goal.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if his goal prop is like minus like 120 or something like that, especially after their game against Spain.
Yeah, do you like it in regulation, or do you think it's going to go extra time?
I mean, I think it's in regulation, but it just all depends, you know. I tend to, if I'm going to do like a same game parlay like that, I'd rather just do the full match or instead of in regulation. I know you're going to get worse odds, but you never know with these games where it's like, all right, and they'll finish it off in regulation, you know.
For sure. And then on Sunday, I know you kind of made I don't know if that was your official prediction, but a 1-0 Spain win. Is that in regulation, or does that go extra time?
No, I'd say regulation. If it goes extra time, it's going to be tied 1-1, and then I guess Spain 2-1. I can see it going into penalties as well, but I see 1-0. 1-0. You talk football terminology. 1-0 regulation. If it does go to extra time, it's going to be 1-1. I cannot see it going 0-0 into extra time.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna zag and just say Argentina gets a goal. So I don't disagree that it could very well be 1-1 going into regulation, but yeah, don't quote me on this, but I think I might play over 2.5. I know it's probably gonna be juiced the other way. And
the underman love is gonna play the over.
I mean, the
played over yet? I don't know if you.
No, I usually don't, because I mean, don't call me a novice in soccer, but I mean,
no. To be fair, like there's I think in general playing the under is like, I guess, more sharp per se, because like any casual person betting on a game is going to want to see over. They're going to want to see a lot of goals. So yeah,
I just like the under because
the cash out.
You get better, you can cash out, and it's only going to go up as long as they're not scoring. And obviously, you can catch a Germany game. Their first game, I picked the under, and I think it was like 4.5. Game ended 7-1. So bad luck in that sense, but I feel like we'd have to look, but I feel like more often than not, these games have gone under, at least in regulation.
Yeah, that's the tough thing because
or at least they
these
look
games
really
have
good.
gone under, but you've had some of these games where the under looks cash money for 70 minutes, and then in the last 20 minutes they go on a goal fest and score 3 goals in like 20, 30 minutes. Happened to me in the Portugal game, Portugal-Croatia. I had the under 2.5. Croatia scored a goal, I believe, in the 53rd minute, just shortly after halftime. And then Portugal got that penalty. Ronaldo scored that penalty to tie it 1-1, I believe, in the 70th minute. And I'm like, oh no, I have a bad feeling about this. 20 minutes, and of course they score the game-winning goal to go up 2-1 in 3 minutes of stoppage time, and there's 6 minutes total. So yeah, unfortunate way to lose a bet.
For sure. But yeah, should be an exciting conclusion to the World Cup. And I feel like it's been really cool just in Canada, United States, Mexico. That abbreviation writes itself. But
I have a goal for the next World Cup. So 2030, the World Cup is going to take place in Spain, Portugal, and Morocco. And I have a goal for myself that I will not only be at the next World Cup, but I'm going
to be playing.
That'd be pretty sick too, I run on the field and get banned for life and thrown in jail. I will not only be at the World Cup, but I want to be there for the entirety of the World Cup. So the full month is going to go on. I think that's sick. I've just seen all these people from other countries come to the U.S., stay in the U.S. for the whole month that the World Cup is going on. And I think it's awesome just because they're here experiencing it. You're not just flying in there for a week, watching a game, flying back. You get the whole immersive experience. I think it's a really cool place, like Spain, Portugal, Morocco. I've never been to Europe before. You get to hit Europe, and then you also get to hit Africa on the Morocco side. I've heard great things about Morocco. I've actually had a coworker from Morocco. And yeah, I think it would be a really awesome place to visit along the Mediterranean. I heard it's really good weather, good food, and the awesome thing, and I'm crossing my fingers for this, but tickets should be a lot cheaper than it has been this past World Cup. This past World Cup is the most expensive World Cup tickets have ever been in its entire history. I think they said the last World Cup, and granted it was in Qatar, so I think you have to give that a bigger discount, but tickets were probably I don't know, on average like $400, $500, but this World Cup, the average ticket price is I think the get-in price after resale is $2,000 to $3,000.
Yeah, that's a lofty goal, and hope you're able to accomplish that. But yeah, switch me. What?
You gonna join me?
I can't make any. I can't make any predictions for 4 years out. Life can be very different.
Start making money now.
Life responsibilities might be different, but I guess switching gears, touching on it quickly because did you watch the final or no?
I did watch the final. Yes.
Okay, so it wasn't cinema, maybe a Carlos Jannik Roland Garros 2025 final, but I feel like it was still entertaining. Alexander Zverev trying to complete the Channel Slam, winning Roland Garros and Wimbledon, only to run into his father, Jannik Sinner, to lose for the 10th straight time. I don't know what that does to your mental, but doesn't do it in straight sets. It's usually Sinner in 3, but Zverev fought well, forced 2 tie breaks in the first 2 sets and won even the first set tie break, 9-7. But Jannik, I think, only was broken once in the second week. On his serve, and I believe that was, who was that? Was it Novak? I can't remember, but his serve was only broken once the entire second week of Wimbledon. His serve was never broken by Zverev. So, yeah, on the score sheet, it looks like somewhat of a close match, but I don't think Jannik was ever necessarily in trouble. And yeah, he's gone back-to-back in Wimbledon, and the next slam will be U.S. Open. And hopefully, sounds like, don't want to jinx it, but we have good news. Our sweet prince, Carlos Alcaraz, will be returning at the Cincinnati Open in preparation for the U.S. Open. And we'll finally have Achilles heels back where they belong.
Yes, there needs to be a yin to a yang, and that yin to Sinner's yang is Carlos.
Yeah, but what were your impressions from the final? Anything that I missed?
Nothing too much. Honestly, I don't watch too much tennis, so just watching that match. And then also I watched a little bit of the semifinals where it was Ferry versus Zverev. Right?
Yeah, somewhat anticlimactic. I mean,
and it's crazy like how tall Zverev is. And I looked up his height and he's like 6'6", and then Ferry's like 5'9". So them standing next to each other, I'm like, to be fair, like I said, I don't really know anything about tennis, but I'm sure that like height and that wingspan and that reach help him a ton and give him just a big advantage.
No,
and then Sinner himself isn't a small guy. He's what, 6'3". So, but I was just surprised how tall Zverev was.
For sure. I mean, just solely off of serves and your leverage, just being able to hit the ball that much higher. The ball's probably bouncing close to his. And granted, it's Wimbledon, so the ball doesn't bounce that high, but just the speed. He's obviously, Zverev, I think, was averaging like 133 first serve speed the whole tournament, which is incredible. Yeah, and Ferry had a cool fairy tale, as people would say.
He's the hometown hero from the UK.
He grew up 10 minutes away from the stadium. Just ran into the third best player in the world, second ranked currently, just because Carlos hasn't played in a while. But super, super excited and really, really hoping there are no setbacks, because me and Mike will be at the U.S. Open, and I'd like nothing more than to go see Carlos play, as well as a bunch of other people.
Yeah, but Wimbledon down, U.S. Open to go. Let's talk some UFC. UFC 329, man. That one was a really big bummer. Honestly, the fight right before the fight of the night, or the closing fight, the main card or main title fight, wasn't even a title fight. The main fight was pretty awesome, even though it ended very quickly, to my detriment and probably to Spencer's detriment, unless he played something different than I did.
Nope.
As far as the prelims, to be fair, I didn't really watch a ton of the prelims. To be honest, I think the one I was able to show up for and started watching was the Royval Kavanaugh fight, which was actually a really good fight. I really enjoyed that one. I know Whitaker knocked out the Russian guy, which I was thinking about possibly taking the Russian guy. I ended up not pulling the trigger, and glad I didn't pull the trigger because, Whitaker knocked him out. Third round, and Gable Stevenson, the largest UFC favorite in history, was he minus 2,500? First round knockouts in 1 minute. Or no, in 3 minutes. 3 minutes into the fight. Or was it two minutes? I can never tell with the timing. So is the
time is the time that's elapsed in the
okay,
fight.
So 2:31, Gable Stevenson finishes off this Ellison guy. And no surprise there. Other than that, I mean, what other fights did you like watching? Like I said, I only watched the last 4.
Yeah, I mean, you talked about Stevenson. I played it. I set like a limit order to. There was really no angle except for the fight to end in the first round, and he was making me a little nervous, but got it done. I was surprised, and I actually played Whitaker, or not the Whitaker fight, to go the distance, which was, I think, over plus 200. Super unfortunate because it looked like it was going to go the distance until Whitaker looked like he broke. I forget his opponent's jaw, and they kind of just called the fight, said no mas. So super unfortunate there, but yeah, I put in our notes Dog City because every single underdog, and granted, there weren't true.
And you're talking about main card, right?
Yeah. So that the what's-it-call-it fight was the last prelim fight, Whitaker, but the main card was just Underdog City, with the exception of the main event. They weren't huge underdogs. I think the first fight, McKinney, was a pick'em. My younger brother made a parlay, and he had McKinney as his first leg, and it looked really good until it didn't. They talked about him having a short gas tank, and it's actually insane. I believe it got all the way up to 95% chance of winning on Kalshi, and to get finished literally at the bell in the first round by Bobby King Green is rather crazy. But tough fight there. Kavanaugh, Royval. I wasn't super shocked. That was probably the biggest underdog. I believe he was close to a plus 200, Royval. But Royval's fought some really awesome guys in the UFC, and it was a war. I think Kavanaugh was looking pretty good.
Kavanaugh looked like he didn't knock Royval out, but he knocked him. He caught him in his jaw, and he fell. And he could have finished him, but the guys I was watching the fight with, he like got on top of him, but he was just kind of like literally doing this. And I was like, what is this guy doing? He's going to gas himself out. And he didn't land any of his punches. And then you progress the fight a round later, and then he gets him in a rear naked choke, and the fight's over. And it's unfortunate. I don't know. It just proves time and time again, if you knock a guy on the ground, like, you get on him and you finish him. We saw that with the Topuria fight. We saw that with this fight. If he would have just had, like, I think of Pereira, whenever he knocks someone down, he gets on top of them and he finishes them. He just like strategic, like boom, 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 and then it's over. And
yeah, or you can go the Cyril Gane route and just hit them in the back of the head.
Yeah, true, that too. But yeah, like Kavanaugh, I think it was looking really good for him. He knocked Royval down. He should have finished him off. I believe that was the second round. And hey, credit to Royval. He battled it out, and he caught Kavanaugh slipping and got that sub. But very good.
For sure.
Fight. Honestly, I'd probably say, like, as a totality, I would say that's the best fight out of the main card, in my opinion. But Paddy's submission, we'll get there, was pretty sick, even though I bet Saint Denis.
Yeah. Next fight, Mario Batista, Corey Sandhagen. Mario Batista was a slight dog, and I think both me and my younger brother both like Mario Batista. Not super confident, but I think I took it to go the distance, and it did. I thought it could go either way, and it was a pretty close fight. Mario Batista won unanimous, but 29-28 across the board. I don't know if you have anything else you want to add on that fight. They're just two dogs, and they had fought previously, and Corey Sandhagen won the first one, so we could possibly see a trilogy in the future.
Yeah, Corey looked really good for the first round. After that, yeah, I mean, even though it looks like he lost every single round, but he's looking good.
Actually, I was going to say, and actually, I think I saw him post a picture, and I believe he might have tore his hamstring because he posted a picture and it was just super red after the fight. So he's probably compromised during the fight, but you were going to say something?
Yeah, like Corey was looking pretty good early on in the fight, and then Mario just kind of came out, did his thing, and yeah, give credit to Mario Bautista.
For sure. And yeah, the co-main event, or I guess the fight before the main event, I don't know if it was necessarily deemed co-main event, but yeah, I think we were both, and I'll eat my crow, in the sense how I had the God of War BSD beating Paddy Pimblett, and boy was I wrong.
Yep. I did as well. Up to that point, Benoît was buzzsaw, kind of like what we've been seeing with Rufy. Just been not mowing down his opponents. And I honestly thought he was probably going to do something similar. And yeah, like it's unfortunate how it ended, but he kind of just dove in for the takedown. Paddy kind of caught him slacking, and he got him in that
start off with the guillotine.
Yeah,
started with the guillotine, and then Benoît, trying to get out of it, gave him the opportunity to put in a Darce. He tried to roll, and I thought that was pretty incredible that Paddy was able to just roll with him so fluidly, put his legs on top of him. And I think he told the ref, he said in his Irish accent, "He's out, mate." So the ref grabbed his arm, and he was out. I think it took him 10 or seconds to come back to it. But yeah, huge win by Paddy Pimblett, and super excited for who's going to fight next. I think I even saw a video of him going to Dana White for the next fight, almost asking to step in after that fight went haywire, just to give the fans what they want. Obviously, they're not going to do that, but yeah, took 0 damage and looked awesome. And I think cemented himself as a top 3, top 5 contender in the lightweight division.
Yeah, we'll take a look at the lightweight after we talk about this final fight. But yeah, shout out to Paddy. Like, lost me money, but that was honestly like pretty sick. And unfortunate for Benoît Saint Denis. Last time I put money on him was literally the my back.
No. Your audio might be back, but yeah, I mean, I think I've taken Benoît Saint Denis before. Not the most recent one, but I remember vividly when he fought Money Moicano, and the first round was so bad that it was a doctor stoppage. But yeah, he's a reckless fighter and got caught by the more skilled and polished fighter, Paddy Pimblett. Wrapping up the card, after that one, we thought we might see a banger, and we were treated to quite the opposite, in the sense that the return of the Mac, Conor McGregor, fights Max Blessed Holloway. And to start the fight, Conor went for a jumping leg kick, and when he landed, it looked like he tweaked his leg or tweaked his knee. Tried to continue the fight and fell down 2 or 3 times. Max punching him, kind of realizing that he was compromised, telling the ref, the fight needs to end. And eventually, I think after one more tweak and Conor just grabbing his leg, the ref stepped in and called the fight. Max Holloway winning slightly over 1 minute in the first round. And super gutted for Conor McGregor, and super gutted for people who went to the event hoping to see McGregor fight, only to have him, bow out.
We're rolling with the punches here. My computer crashed on me for some reason. So we're back. I forgot what I was talking about. Great fight nonetheless. You were talking about the McGregor fight.
Yeah, I was just talking about how, McGregor came out, tried to do a flying kick, tweaked his knee, tried to keep fighting, kept falling down. Max knew he was compromised, telling the ref, like, "Are you going to call the fight?" And eventually, after like the 3rd time, McGregor grabbed his leg. Ref called the fight, and I was just saying I was absolutely gutted for, fans who spent their hard-earned money to go watch the return of the Mac, and just to have him tweak his knee within like the first minute or the first 10 seconds of the fight. But yeah, where do you think McGregor goes from here? I know he has one more fight left on his UFC contract, but he's probably not going to fight for at least a year. I mean, do we feed him to Nate Diaz or finally give Conor McGregor. Michael Chandler shot at it, just washed versus washed.
Yeah, if at any point, if they are going to allow him to do another fight, it would probably be something like that, where it's just a super nostalgic fight. Both these guys are really old. They're washed. Yeah, it's unfortunate, and I'd be very surprised if Conor, even though he does have one more fight on his contract, to actually fight again, coming back from that broken leg that he did previously, and then just to come back from, I don't know exactly, they confirmed what his injury was.
I'm not sure. They were saying it's an ACL, but I don't think they've officially, or at least I haven't seen.
It's like torn ACL, partially torn ACL, at least 8. And this is like with the prime athletes, it usually takes them 8 months to come back. So for him, it's probably going to be, like you said, more on the side of a year to come back. And that's just to just do normal movements, nowhere near fighting shape, in my opinion. So yeah, I think probably like a year and 3-4 months, if not more, for him to be in fight shape. And even then, it's like, what is fight shape for Conor? Because he's always been known to not be in very good shape and struggle with cardio. So I'd be surprised if he comes back. So this might be, unfortunately, the last we see of McGregor.
Yeah, I mean, I think they'll probably still give him a fight. He just turned 38 yesterday, so happy belated birthday to him. I hate to say it, but once I saw him show up to the arena and he had that mohawk, I was like, yeah, man, this guy's cooked. This guy is cooked. So I lost on Benoît Saint Denis, and then luckily, I guess I should say luckily, Switzerland tied it up against Argentina. So I was able to tie Argentina to advance to Max Holloway. And get a lot of my money back, plus a little bit of some. So,
yeah. I lost in the Benoît Saint Denis, and then I also played the over 2.5. And this is a separate over 2.5 rounds for the Holloway McGregor fight, but then also did Max to finish with a KO, TKO, or DQ. Obviously, that hit. The over 2.5 rounds had nowhere near a chance to hit. So down overall, but yeah, one and two, not great, but not horrible.
Last week we talked about it. We said, like, do we think Max can knock out Conor? He's never been knocked out. And I mean, this is technically a knockout, but it's a doctor stoppage. I would have played the same thing, but I just felt like I needed to for sure win and just Max Holloway on the money line. Argentina seemed like the move. But yeah, where does Max kind of go from this? I mean, he bulked up the
I wanted to take a look at if you have the lightweight standings right now, because this lightweight division is probably the most interesting division in all of UFC. And the reason why is because the top 7 fighters, I think, have a good shot at winning the title if they were to fight Gaethje like tomorrow. So, except for Topuria, obviously, because he just lost to Gaethje. But he's still, just behind Gaethje as he should be. They just swapped spots. But this lightweight class is insane. And we saw 2 of them. I mean, Max didn't have to do anything. And then Paddy submitting Benoît. Do you have that pulled up?
Yeah, I can pull it up. Can you see that?
Yep. To the stage. But yeah, you have Ilia, who just lost to Gaethje. I mean, Arman as well. Who knows what the heck Arman's doing, hanging out with Nina. Who knows? Then you have Charles. I would love to see Charles, I don't know, probably a Charles Arman fight, most likely, to then see who would fight Justin Gaethje for the next title match. But then you have Max just right under him, and then I would love to see a Max Paddy fight, in my opinion. I think that would be a really good fight. Especially the fact that none of them took damage in their fights. So I can see them fighting relatively soon in the next month or so.
For sure. No, I mean, I think if I had to oil myself up and be Dana White, There are reports, and I think it would absolutely be a banger fight. I think Charles should get a shot at Justin Gaethje, just because they fought before. Charles won. Arman, yeah, he's a super skilled fighter, but it's not it's not a countryman, not a company man, in the sense that look at his last fight was in November. I believe Charles has fought twice, or I think since they last fought each other, Arman and Charles has fought 4 times, and Arman's only fought once. He was supposed to, I believe, be the backup fighter for this Justin Gaethje fight, but he was busy doing some other. I think he fights this weekend, like RDL or some like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So I don't know. I think he's still in the doghouse for Dana. There are reports, and once again, just speaks to the level of the lightweight division, of a Charles versus Diego Lopes fight in September. That's not official, but that is a rumor, for the BMF title. And Diego Lopes has fought at featherweight, was the backup for the Gaethje Topuria fight. And I think that would be an absolute banger fight. I know you were kind of disappointed last time. There was no finish for the BMF title. I think there would be a finish in that fight. Charles or Lopes are going to finish each other. Pause.
Yeah. And I think Charles isn't the typical fighter to be like, oh, I'm just gonna like win just to win, unless it's like a title fight. So I think he just kind of wanted to get that win under his belt against Max because he knew like, all right, you're not gonna wrestle at all. I would assume I haven't watched a ton of Diego Lopes, but I do know he can wrestle a lot better than Max Holloway. So I think that would be a great fight as well.
Yeah, and then yeah, I don't know, stylistically, Paddy versus Max would be would be like a great fight, and Max also bulked up to welterweight, so I imagine he's not going to stay there, but might be a process of trying to unbulk himself. I think the fight everyone wants to see, and they talked about it after Ilia took Charles lights out, is Ilia Topuria is Paddy the Paddy Pimblett. These guys hate each other. To see them fight, I think would be a great bounce back fight for Ilia. Or we see, Paddy give Ilia a losing streak and probably cements himself as the number 1 contender for the title.
Yeah, I would love to see that too. I just don't know that fight's probably not going to be for a while, just because obviously the beating that Ilia took from Justin in the Freedom 250 fight. I think Paddy will have a fight in between that. So that's why I say probably Paddy, Paddy Max, or even Paddy like Usman, and like you said, Arman. Who knows whenever that dude's going to fight? But yeah, I don't see Dana holding Paddy back as far as like his next fight going to be Ilia Topuria. I think he should fight Ilia Topuria, but I think there's definitely going to be a fight between them.
For sure. No, I mean, that's a good point. We don't know when we'll see Ilia Topuria, and Paddy probably wants to fight by the end of the year. So, got to make a fight.
Yeah.
And
so I think what makes the most sense is probably a Max Paddy fight, unless Usman is there. But I think Charles, if I were to like do the next card or whatever, the next fights for all these fighters would be Justin Gaethje versus Charles for the title fight, and then it would be Max versus Paddy.
I like it. Cool. And just to wrap up UFC, there is a fight night this Saturday. Not a great card, but a pretty banger main event. We have DDP, Dricus Du Plessis versus Kamaru Usman. Dricus is a pretty big favorite. I think hovering around minus 200. Do you see Dricus getting back in the win column? Or do you see?
I think so. Yeah. I'm trying to remember who he fought last, because I remember I bet him to win against what was his name?
Kamaru Usman beat Buckley his last time fighting, and
no, for the title.
He lost to Khamzat.
Yeah, he lost to Khamzat and he lost the title there. But then he beat. He beat Strickland. I remember that, and Adesanya. Wait, what? Did he really? Were those for two different titles? Did he hold two different titles at the same time?
For DDP? No, he's only defended his middleweight title.
Oh, okay, yeah, you're right. Yeah, he had middleweight because he beat Sean Strickland, then Izzy challenged him, then he won that, and then he won against Sean Strickland again. I believe it was that Izzy fight that Drake bet on Izzy, and then I bet on DDP, and confirming, the Drake curse, and then obviously eventually losing to Khamzat, and then Sean Strickland just takes the title away from Khamzat. Usman, I don't know too much about Usman, to be totally honest. I know
former welterweight champ, so he's moving up.
Pretty old. That's the downside of it. Yeah, I would have to look at this fight a little bit more closely. I love my guy DDP, so I think straight off the dome, I'd probably say my guy Du Plessis.
Yeah, and I think I'm not sure if he finishes Usman. Usman's got a gas. He's got a gas tank. It's going to be a 5-round fight. But yeah, I think it'd probably be the best for the middleweight division for DDP to win, and then he probably ends up fighting Strickland in a trilogy. I know he's won both of those fights, but you can argue Sean won the first fight on a split decision that DDP got. So that would hopefully be another amazing fight, more closer to the first fight than the second fight. Second fight, DDP kind of controlled him for most of the fight, won a decision. But yeah, that one should be a good fight. And I mean, Cannonier is fighting, and I honestly don't really know the rest of the card, but we'll tune in definitely for that main event.
Yes. All right, let's go ahead and go to MLB, right? We have MLB next. I know I always clown Spencer about like Kalshi and cashing out, him loving Kalshi because of the ability to cash out. And don't get me wrong, that's like great. I will have a story for you guys of how that actually benefited me because we're watching MLB All-Star Weekend, the Home Run Derby. And I'm not one, if I didn't plan ahead to bet on something, I'm probably not going to bet on it. But this one, I just kind of saw it and I was like, all right, you have the semifinals. It was Contreras versus Schwarber. Jordan Walker was already in the final. And I was like, you know what? Philly, Schwarber's the absolute dinger hitter. He just hits dingers, man. He's in Philly. I was looking at kind of his past rounds. I'm like, okay, like Schwarber, man. Like, I think that's the move. And I kind of saw his first round against Contreras. He just absolutely torched it, going for 9 home runs. And I didn't maybe get the best odds, but he had it at 50%. So I was like, you know what? Like, let me put some on Schwarber, like hometown guy. The Phillies fans would go crazy whenever he would hit any ball that was like remotely close to being a home run, and the majority of his balls were home runs. So I was like, he has the home field advantage. He knows this ballpark. And so I picked him up at 50%. And he, won against Contreras to go to the final against Jordan Walker. And he goes first, torches it, hits 11 home runs. And that's really hard to beat because they have 15 swings. And unless they keep hitting a home run on that last swing, then essentially you only have like 15 swings. So he hits it with 11. He was up to 85%. I'm like, should I cash out? Should I not cash out? And I'm like, you know what? Let me cash out. Like 85%. Sure, I'm leaving some money on the table, but like, I was like, hey, no funny business. I know weird things happen. And that's exactly what happened. I cashed out. I took my profit, and I think he got all the way up to like 94% or 95% on Kalshi. And then Jordan Walker, he gets down, I believe gets down to his last swing with 6 home runs left or 7 home runs in the bag. So he literally needed to hit 4 or 5 in a row to not only tie, but to win. So 4 to tie, 5 to win. and he hits 5 in a row on that last swing chance, and he wins the home run derby. The crazy thing is, I believe he's the first St. Louis Cardinal ever to win the home run derby. And on top of that, he doubled his annual salary. He's making roughly $780,000 a year on his current contract. And by him winning the home run derby, yeah, he cashed in $1 million. So a pretty crazy story right there. And yeah, for those people holding a Kyle Schwarber ticket, it's tough one to see. Tough one to see, I'll tell you that.
For sure. Yeah, I missed most of the home run derby, but I was interested in playing probably Bryce Harper to make it to the semifinals. Obviously, it didn't happen. Schwarber was probably my pick just to win it all. I saw people kind of talking about Jordan Walker just because he's like 6'5", so has a lot of power. But yeah, my hat off to him in a super hostile environment that is Philly, going against the hometown favorite to win that. It's pretty awesome to see. So hats off to Jordan Walker.
Cool. Yeah, we want to talk about wanted to do possibly division winner predictions. We can possibly skip over that, or bowl predictions. I didn't watch any of the All-Star game because I feel like the All-Star game has been such a joke in pretty much all sports at this point. Definitely in the NFL. It's not even like a football game anymore. They do like a flag football game. And the MLB All-Star break, you have all these players opting out for the All-Star game just because they're like, I don't want to play more games. Like, I'm already taxed enough. I want a break. So you had a lot of players opt out for it. So surprisingly, it's granted one game. Everyone knows that the National League is a far superior league in the MLB. You just look at the standings, and the AL shuts out the NL, which is honestly very surprising.
Yeah, I had it on, and I would have picked the NL, but I didn't get it in the first inning, and thank goodness I didn't, because they went up 3-0. Thought about playing like the under, which got around to maybe like 9.5. Just didn't pull the trigger because I'm like, I don't really want to put on this All-Star game. Like, anything can happen. But yeah, surprisingly, I think what was it? They threw a 2-hitter, struck out 15 of the possible. I had 15 strikeouts out of the possible 27 outs. So yeah, it seemed like the NL kind of had a hole in their bat. And shout out to the American League and I guess Cody Bellinger, because he got a single, scored 2 runs, and won the MVP. I probably would have gave it to Miguel Vargas. I know his home run meant nothing, but that dude crushed it.
Yeah, it's the fact that Cody Bellinger and got the MVP for hitting a single to bring in 2 runs, and he won MVP because of that is actually kind of insane, to be honest.
Most definitely. But you said you wanted to not go over divisions?
Yeah, I mean, we can.
Or I mean, bold predictions, whatever you want to do.
I mean, I think just had technical difficulties, so I can pull it up here. I just can't share it per se. Actually, I could share it. Just want to show myself. Yeah. So right here we have MLB standings.
Do you want to zoom in?
Just predicting like the division winners per se, just because throughout the season it's actually changed a lot. So for example, going to the NL, the Phillies were kind of dead in the water the first quarter of the season. They ended up firing their manager and kind of re-sparking the energy they were very much lacking. I want to say at some point they were like 10 to 15 games under 500. And now they're 11 games over 500. And they've caught up to the Atlanta Braves, and which is insane. The Braves have honestly been piss poor the past month or so. And yeah, sure, there's still 15 games over 500, but if you look at the last 2 weeks, last 10 they've been 5-5, and the last like month or so they've probably been, at least batting wise, one of the worst teams in all of baseball. Their just pitching is extremely good, so it kind of somewhat keeps them in games. But yeah, I think, and this will kind of go into what we predict for the second half of the season, being the Yankees have been looking really bad. So unless they can kind of find something, get Aaron Judge back, I don't know necessarily what the timeline for his return is. They have a really good bullpen. They have pretty good pitching. They have the possible AL Cy Young winner in Cam Schlittler. But if they don't find something about their hitting problems, then it's going to be really hard for them to win this division, because Tampa Bay has looked awesome. Look at their home and away split, 35-15 at home. Of course, their away not as good, but these guys don't really lose at home. So Tampa Bay is the winner, I think, here for me, unless they can get Judge back. I can't remember when the trade deadline is for the MLB.
End of the month.
End of the month. So unless they make some trades to get a little bit better at hitting, yeah, I think Tampa Bay, even though, the Yankees are only 3 games back, it would only be Tampa Bay here for me. Would I bet my money on them winning the division? Probably not. But I would say the chances of Tampa Bay holding that lead are pretty good, unless the Yankees make some sort of change / get Judge back. And even if Judge comes back, I don't know what percentage of health he's going to be at. So I'd say Tampa Bay for the East, AL East. Central, honestly, has been a pretty interesting battle. Guardians, just like this, yeah, just a lot of the AL just kind of sucks. So White Sox are really good at home, 31-17. They struggle on the road, of course, being 19-28. But they got Murakami back, which is good. Their pitching isn't great, but these guys can hit, especially at home. So I'm going to go Chicago White Sox. I think the Cleveland Guardians, yeah, I'm not a big fan of the Guardians. And then, of course, AL West. I have to talk about my guys, the Texas Rangers. AL West is definitely by far the worst division in all of baseball. And I will be the first one to say it, even though I am a Texas Rangers fan. But Rangers have looked good, especially against left-handed pitching. I want to say they're one of the best left-handed pitcher hitting teams in the entire MLB. And they got some good pitching options. Mackenzie Gore can, as long as he doesn't blow things up for them, they have Ace and DeGrom, and they have a new upcoming pitcher in Kumar Rocker, who's actually been pitching pretty well under a 4 ERA, I want to say. And then our classic guy, Nathan Eovaldi. The big question for the Rangers is if they can keep up this hitting, because they've been hitting extremely well, like I said, especially against left-handed pitching. And Mariners, honestly, they have good pitchers, but their hitting has been atrocious. He's going to go into one of our big predictions that I actually agree with Spencer on. If anyone, I'd maybe say the Astros can be potentially dangerous. Their pitching has kind of been spotty recently as well. Even just the Rangers hitting up Hunter Brown, which I was very surprised actually took the Astros in that game. But Texas kind of hit him up, scored 4 or 5 runs on him. And Astros hitting has been hit or miss as well. You have Jordan Alvarez, but the rest of their team has just kind of looked subpar, to say the least. So that'd be my winner for the AL West. NL is more of an interesting story here. And I'll go with the easiest one. NL West, obviously the Dodgers. I don't think there's any discussion on that. The Dodgers are the best team in all of baseball, let alone the best team in the division. And even though the Diamondbacks swept them, I think there's no sweat about the Dodgers winning this division. But you got to make sure that they had they went on All-Star break a little bit early, like Spencer said, and lost 3 straight to the Diamondbacks. If they can get, I don't know if they're going to keep Roki Sasaki as a starter or not. At this point, maybe you stay committed with him and have him as a starter, but he has not looked good. And Pitching, yeah. Other than Yamamoto, Shohei, who knows how long he's going to be like pitching for, and if he's going to continue pitching even in playoffs. I know the season is going to be his last season pitching, at least as a starting pitcher, possibly pitching altogether. So some question marks possibly for the Dodgers there, but more so looking for the playoffs rather than the division. I think they have the division on lock. Central, yeah, a lot of this might be chalk except for the East, but Brewers are the team to beat. They have, in contention for the Cy Young Award for the NL is Mizorowski, or whatever you say his name. He had a Charizard card in his glove for the All-Star game. And that guy throws missiles, man. Like, he's recorded the fastest pitch, like 106 or whatever. I think he actually threw maybe harder than that. But this guy throws heaters. And I will say they're probably going to taper off his usage going on through the rest of the season, just because, of course, they want to save him for the playoffs. We'll say Milwaukee Brewers is definitely a regular season team, so I think they have this division and they're going to win it. As far as the playoffs, no promises, just because everyone knows who the Milwaukee Brewers are, and they don't win in the postseason. So just a reminder for that. But regular season, I'm pretty confident that they will most likely win this division. And then going to the East is obviously the most interesting because the Braves, they gave up that huge lead that they had up on the Phillies. The Phillies making a strong comeback. This is a super big toss-up. And then you have the Marlins, out of all teams, Miami Marlins, who have been amazing. Look at that road record, 28-8. That's the I was about to say the Wizards. My mistake. But they're extremely good at home. I saw that number. I was like, really? I thought they were really good at home. But they are really good at home. 31-20 at home. And these guys can hit. And if you look at just their differential, like Phillies, they had a rough start to the year. That's why their differential was -10. But Miami Marlins, +24 on run differential. They can hit. Their pitching isn't great, so that's their one demise that they have. But these guys can hit the ball and to win at home. So I'd say it's a little bit of a wild card. Are the odds in my favor? Probably not. I'd say the best bet would probably be Atlanta Braves not to win the division, because I think it's, in my opinion, a two-man race between the Phillies and the Marlins. Phillies probably going to win the division based off of how they've looked the second quarter of the first half of the season, and I think they're probably going to continue that, especially with the hitting. They have to learn how to hit on the road, but they have a stud lineup. They're by far, I'd say, like the best lineup per se, and who knows what moves they're going to make for pitching. But Braves, really good pitching, very subpar batting. Marlins, bad pitching, or I would say mid pitching, but they can hit the ball. So I'm going to go on a limb and say the Miami Marlins will win the East division.
Gotcha. Yeah, I guess that's a super bold. That's a super bold prediction. Yeah, we wanted to hit on a few bold predictions for the rest of the season. I guess Marlins winning the NL East is one of Mike's. My big one, Mike kind of alluded to it as he was going through the standings, is I have the Seattle Mariners, the team that was one game away, maybe one pitch away from making the World Series last year, will not make the playoffs. I just feel like the big dumper has turned into the big hooper in Cal Raleigh. I believe his backup catcher is posting better hitting splits than him. They have the pitching. They haven't been as good as they have been historically. Brian Wu, in particular, I think he has essentially a 0 WAR. But yeah, I just think the Texas Rangers will most likely win the division, and I feel like either the Houston Astros or one of these other teams in the East or Central. They honestly can't even count out the Boston Red Sox. They have the money. They've been bad probably since they've traded Mookie Betts to the Dodgers. I can see some of these teams just going for it, and there's 3 spots in the wild card, and I'm going to say the Seattle Mariners do not get one. I mean, we see right here the Toronto Blue Jays last in the AL East. Like, they're probably not going to make the playoffs. I mean, you can clip that. But these teams are just having, hangovers from the playoffs. And I feel like because he didn't win MVP and because he's clearly not as good of a player as Aaron Judge, I'm predicting them not to make the playoffs this season.
Yeah, Toronto. Yeah, I agree. It'll be interesting to see what this wild card race looks like. Of course, the Yankees not leading the division is a tough one, but the Rays are legit in my opinion. Guardians are the Guardians. I would, as much as I wouldn't love to see the Guardians make the playoffs, I think they're a little bit more exciting teams to potentially make the playoffs. It is what it is. But the Twins, you got to watch out for the Twins. The Twins aren't a terrible team. They can definitely hit the ball. It'll be interesting to see what their, I believe he's their best hitter in my opinion, Buxley. He's kind of been dealing with an injury recently. When the timetable for him to come back is. But yeah, Boston could make a run. Astros, I'm not as confident. I'd say Boston. Boston has been playing really well recently. I want to say they've won like 6 out of the last 8 games. I think they've won
9 straight.
9 straight games, yeah. So
and I think granted, it was against the New York Mets and the Los Angeles Angels. A lot of those games.
Yeah, true. But 9 straight is 9 straight, and yeah, the Mets are a disaster. They're not going to break the playoffs. But the Twins can make a run. I think the Red Sox can definitely make a run. You can see possibly Cleveland, definitely Seattle, the way they're playing, slip out of the running for wild card in the AL. So I agree with you on that.
Okay, my second bold prediction. Tarik Skubal, what's that? 2-time Cy Young winner for the Detroit Tigers, will be traded, but he will not be traded to the Los Angeles Dodgers. I feel like, kind of like Oklahoma City with Giannis last season, they probably have the best package and they have the right button. But I don't think they really need to press it, and I don't think they want to give up the prospects that Detroit's going to require for them to trade for Tarik Skubal. I think if they want to get him, they will probably try to get him this offseason, albeit this offseason might end up being a full season because of the pending lockout. But I feel like another team will push all their chips into the table because they look at the Dodgers and realize they're so far away from them. And they make a trade for Tarik Skubal. And I don't think he's a Dodger. It pains me to say.
Yeah. I could see a team potentially there's talks of possibly Atlanta, being in the running for Tarik Skubal, which, oh man, you imagine Skubal, Sale, and who's their other really good pitcher?
Strider.
Strider. Bryce Elder hasn't had as good of a season this year, I want to say. But yeah, imagine just even a 2-headed monster of pitching stats. Hitting stats. Chris Sale, 2.20 ERA, 1.11 WHIP. Yeah, he's their ace right now. Even though a lot of their other pitchers have been pretty good right now. Like Perez has actually been pretty good, 3.54 ERA. Grant Holmes, Lopes, 3.50 ERA. Yeah, so imagine this pretty good looking Atlanta pitching staff with a Tarik Skubal. That would be very dangerous. Yeah, their hitting still kind of sucks, but they lead their division. Hopefully they can maybe turn their bats around, but you can get an ace in Tarik Skubal. I think that makes their chances of, not only just making the playoffs, but making the playoffs and then going further in the playoffs, much more likely for them. So I could see a team like Atlanta possibly making a run for him. Trying to think who else. As far as teams, I don't know. Maybe I don't know what the
Yankees.
Yeah.
Red Sox. If the Red Sox continue to turn the season around.
True. Yeah. The Red Sox have a lot of assets they could possibly deal, but I think they're right on the cusp where they're in no man's land, where they're like, are we going to make the playoffs? Are we not? Because think about it. They're sitting on guys like Aroldis Chapman, who's arguably one of the best closers in all of baseball. And guys like him, Sonny Gray's been really good for them recently. Do they potentially, go all in, get a guy like Tariq Skubal, like you said, and make a push for the playoffs? Or do they kind of sell some of their assets and sell them this year, but then get a bunch of young prospects and make a run at it next year? So, big question mark. I think, possibly the Red Sox could make a move for them. Who else?
Yeah, I feel like it just has to be a big market. Like Tampa Bay would make sense, but they're not typically big game hunting like these teams. So, yeah, Yankees, Red Sox, Braves. I don't know if the Phillies have the assets, young prospects to trade for him, and I don't think
I don't see
pitching is their issue.
No, they have very good pitching. Like you said, I don't think that's their issue. I'm just looking at their pitching staff. Like, obviously Zach Wheeler's their ace, but then they have Christopher Sanchez, who's like amazing as well. 2.62 ERA, and then you got Luzardo's no scrub either, 3.51 ERA. So I think they're fine on pitching, in my opinion.
Maybe even the Cubs.
More consistent bats, yeah.
So
it'd be interesting who will be in the Tariq Skubal sweepstakes.
And you could even make the argument that he just doesn't get traded, and Detroit, just like the Angels, keeps him. And I could see even Detroit making a run. They've been hit with the injury bug this season. They're not that far out of the race for the wild card. I think 3.5 games, which is not a lot considering we're halfway through the season. Last bold prediction, Mike kind of talked about it, but he picked the Marlins to win the NL East. It's not a huge prediction, but I have the Philadelphia Phillies winning the NL East due to Christopher Sanchez leading them there, and him winning the NL Cy Young over Jacob Mizorowski. I think Jacob Mizorowski is a huge favorite, but I feel like Mike said, his innings are going to go down. And Christopher Sanchez probably would have won the Cy Young if Paul Skeens did not exist. He apparently doesn't really exist this year with a inflated ERA that he has. I think it's not anything crazy. I think it's maybe in the 3.5s, but not the pitcher he was last year, the last 2 years. But that is my bold prediction. It has great odds on Kalshi, and I will decide if I actually am convicted enough.
13%.
Yeah, he's had a couple rough outings the last couple games, but the long season, he probably has, 10 more starts at least?
Yeah. But the big thing is, it's like Christopher Sanchez or Zach Wheeler. Zach Wheeler, sure, he didn't play for majority of the beginning part of the season. I think he's going to be a more, obviously, integral part, especially just giving him the experience to have him warm up towards the postseason. And I agree with you that Milwaukee's going to lay off using Mizorowski, especially once they have that lead that they currently have in their division. So I definitely see the value play. Maybe if I were me, maybe just go with Mizorowski with no, because I do like that pick, and I think it's a big value pick, especially if you're really, convinced and really confident in Christopher Sanchez specifically. But I mean, I guess the only thing knocking Zach Wheeler is he didn't pitch at the beginning of the season. But you could argue Zach Wheeler is they're both amazing. They're both aces, but Zach Wheeler I'm looking at similar odds to Sanchez, and it's maybe the better play would just be to pick Mizorowski as no, and because Sanchez or Wheeler, in my opinion, could potentially win.
Yeah, no, my thought process is just, I'm looking at ESPN right now, and you look at pitching WAR. Christopher Sanchez is at a 5.4 WAR. Zach Wheeler is at a 4.8, but has thrown 34 less innings and 5 less starts. So yeah, if Zach Wheeler can, put in another 8 to 10 starts, he'll have a case. But like I said, Christopher Sanchez was one of the best pitchers last year, and I like him to win the Cy Young with what's his face, Paul Skeens not being the pitcher he was last season.
Yeah, poor Paul Skeens. And I think a lot of it, I mean, he hasn't been pitching. Like, he's been pitching actually pretty decent. There was like a few games where he got hit up a little bit, but his team just sucks so bad where it's like he'll go in and he'll pitch, and then they just don't win the game. Yeah.
Yeah, I think.
Especially when they PNC, I know it's traditionally not a hitter's park per se, but they've been hitting a lot of freaking runs in that.
I don't know. I mean, I saw him play the Dodgers, a few starts ago where I think he only allowed 1 or 2 earned runs and the floodgates open, but he's just been, since his first start where he got torched for like 5 runs.
Yeah, he's not like what he was last season, I will say.
Man, like 2 starts ago against the Phillies, 7 earned runs, 4 innings pitched. Even his strikeouts, 7, 4, 5, 7, 8. You're used to seeing at least 7s across the board.
Yeah, he hasn't been terrible, but he also hasn't been like what he normally is. I agree with you on that. Also, this is a big what if. Do you think? Well, first of all, I don't think they do this, but it's a good conversation to potentially have, especially if they get a good haul for it. But you think Mason Miller is up for sale?
Yeah, that was going to be my bold prediction, but it wasn't much of a bold prediction because the Padres, I think they talked about it during the All-Star break that they've traded like 6 or 7 All-Stars trying to put this team together, and instead paying money to Xander Bogaerts, who is a minus shortstop. I feel like they realized that their championship window is probably closed, and trade Mason Miller and try to get back, some of the prospects they gave up to get him last season. So depending on the Edwin Diaz situation, I know he's done a rehab start in Ontario, California, but maybe the Dodgers are in play. Just to have him.
So yeah, and then teams are notorious for doing this. It's just like they'll get a player, not necessarily because they really need him per se, but it's more so like so no one else gets him.
Yeah, and I mean we have the starter. That's why I'm kind of bearish on us trading for Terrance School, because Glasnow and Snell really haven't pitched this whole season. Robleski was an all-star this season. Shohei's will pitch in probably some capacity during the postseason, and then Yamamoto. So we have 5 quality starters. That's not even counting Sheehan, who has been up and down this season, but can still give you some innings. So I feel like
I think if anything, like the Dodgers bullpen could use a little bit of help.
Matt, it's been a lights out bullpen, but to have somebody out there who can just slam the door, who Edwin Diaz probably should have been, why not? But the price might be too steep for what the Padres are asking, and I don't even know what the Padres would want to trade within the division. So it's probably a no-go, but don't be surprised. But I think he's going to get traded.
Yeah. I don't know if he will get traded. I think they'll definitely take looks, per se. Yeah. So I was just curious on what your thoughts on that were. All right. Last but not least, I wanted to go over Summer League, and I actually have a couple of bets going in right now, and I checked on them, and they were looking pretty good. Hopefully, I'm not jinxing myself here. I am jinxing myself a little bit. I had the Pelicans to win, and then also the Suns to cover 2.5, and those are pretty close games. But Summer League, I wanted to talk a little bit about that since recently I haven't been super into the World Cup games because, one, I've been losing a lot of World Cup games. I will say that. But then also just like a lot of them have been really close, and I haven't really been seeing where I have potential edges on them. So I was like, all right, I'm okay like not playing them. Let me look at Summer League, and I enjoy watching basketball. So I've been sprucing up on Summer League. I wanted to talk about mainly players, because obviously like team performance in summer league doesn't really matter. I will say there are advantages to being like this team. They don't really have like a name player, like for example the Lakers, and they totally destroyed the Clippers yesterday. And probably a lot of people were betting the Clippers, like, oh, Keaton Wagler, and they have all these name players on their roster versus the Lakers, and the Lakers actually destroyed the Clippers. And I'll talk about Keaton Wagler in a second, but some edges and potentials right there. People sitting out as well. But some of the best looking players I've seen throughout summer league so far. Obviously, you guys talk about the Wizards. AJ DeBanza, I think he's probably top of mind for everyone. But you also take into account Trey Johnson only played one game, but he looked really good in that first game for the Wizards. I know he's not a rookie, but him coming off his rookie season with kind of a dysfunctional Wizards team performed very well as expected. So always good to see your lottery pick from last year performing well. And then Will Riley has been a really good look for the Wizards, a good young player to, stretch the floor. He's 6'9", wing forward type player. He can hit the three, he can drive the basket. And I think he could have a lot of upside in this Wizards lineup, who's going to be really interesting this coming season with the interesting mix of young, hungry players, but then also you have a couple veterans thrown into the mix as well. And then you have a guy like Chris Middleton just signed back with the Wizards. So that team's really interesting to watch. But Wizards big three, I was really impressed with what I saw with them. Of course, Caleb Wilson, you can't judge this guy's drive because this guy has the drive to play and to win. His first two games, they started 0-2. And his second game, he squared off against Darren Peterson. The first game, he had 35 points, which is the most ever, I think, by a rookie in a summer league debut. So hats off to Caleb Wilson. This guy wants to play and he can play. And they talked about him, like, what does it feel like to like kind of break this record or whatever? And he was like, we didn't win. And that's kind of like all he cared about. And you see most of the other top picks getting shut down for the rest of summer league. And then you have guys like Caleb Wilson on back-to-back. Most other guys are instructed to sit out, and he asked his coach, like, hey, like, can I play? I want to play. And he ends up playing, and he's like, yeah, I'm just a hooper. I like the hoop. So awesome signs from Caleb Wilson. If you're a Bulls fan, you should be really excited, especially for how bad this franchise has looked since Michael Jordan, essentially, or maybe Derrick Rose, throw that in there. But if they mess this up, like, absolute poverty franchise to the max. But another player I was really thought looked good was Malik Thomas from the Cleveland Cavaliers. Now, he was kind of a steal draft. I believe he was drafted in the lottery. I can't remember exactly what the pick was. He might have been the second round, actually. But he's absolutely torching it. He's leading the summer league in points at the moment. He's not currently playing. That's also the reason why I played the Pelicans as well. Potential for him not to play. Cavs wanted to sit him out, but Cavs got a really good player, Malik Thomas. Traditionally like point guard size. I think he's like 6'4", 6'5". But he can handle the ball. He can shoot the ball. He can play defense. He's a really good defensive player. He can just kind of do it all at that combo guard position. And I think he fits in really well with this Cavs team, looking at their actual team, not just summer league team. So really good upside from this guy. Second round pick, potentially could be a cornerstone type player for the Cavs franchise, assuming they don't get LeBron. And then another guy, Lakers, Cameron Carr. He's absolute bucket. I think he's a guy the Lakers will really need, especially coming off the bench, because if you kind of look at how their team's constructed, you have a lot of players that are kind of like role players, but they're not a guy that you can just give the ball and like, hey, like, go get buckets or make something happen. I think Cameron Carr is more of that type of player. He's like 6'5", 6'6". He's long. He can defend. He can shoot the ball. He can finish at the rim. Really good signs from what you see from him. So it'd be really exciting to see what he can do with the Lakers or team. Hopefully he gets a good burn from JJ Redick. I would be really disappointed if he doesn't get significant, like, decent playing time as a rookie. But really positive signs from what we see from him. And of course, Cam Boozer. I think everyone knew what you're going to get with Cam Boozer, double-double machine. He's going to be solid on defense. He can step out, shoot the three a little bit. People were asking him, he's like, oh, has the NBA like 3-point line like affected like how you shoot? And he's like, No, like I can shoot the ball. Like I have no problem shooting the ball. I just didn't shoot it like a ton at Duke because I didn't really need to. Same with Caleb Wilson in that fact. But Cam Boozer looking like the player everyone thought he was going to be. So no surprises there. Disappointing so far. I have a number of players, but just to name 4. Keaton Wagler. Keaton Wagler has looked horrible this summer league. And honestly, I know summer league is just summer league and people are like, the league doesn't really matter that much, which is true to an extent. And Keaton Wagler, this Clippers team is a really weird situation because they don't really have any like star players per se on their team. So he's going to have the ability and the time to develop. But if I'm a Clippers fan, which I don't think there's very many out there, I would be very concerned about your pick at number 5 with Keaton Wagler. He looks like he doesn't have the athleticism to play in the NBA. He can't get past anyone, which he's not super athletic to begin with, which is pretty concerning. And he's not getting the space that he got in college to step back and shoot the ball. And he's not great at defense either. So somewhat concerning for Keaton Wagler. It'll be interesting to see kind of how he progresses throughout the first couple of years of his career, especially this first year. But more and more, you kind of watch him play against NBA type competition. And the thing is, summer league is NBA competition, but it's not even like the real NBA. So a lot of cause for concern for their, possibly passing up a Darius Acuff, which honestly, he himself hasn't looked great, but a lot better than Keaton Wagler. And then Ade Mara, he's kind of been very underwhelming, like his first 3 games in the California Classic and then first 3 games in City League. This OKC team, which, it's summer league, it doesn't matter too much, but I thought they would be a lot better with Bennett Sturtz and Ade Mara kind of leading the charge for them. I think they're really good players, or at least they're really good college players, but in the NBA, maybe not so much. You think Ade Mara would dominate, blocking the ball, getting rebounds, 7-3 frame, but unfortunately, he's not really doing that so far. And granted, he's going to play very much a limited role at OKC, who has Hartenstein, who has Chet Holmgren. But you're definitely going to want to see more from your 7-3 guy that people are deeming him already as the Wemby stopper. At this point, I don't see him doing anything against Wemby, let alone any other centers in the league. So pretty disappointing so far. And then another big disappointment is the Milwaukee Bucks, specifically Nate Ament. I mean, now you kind of look at like how he slid so far. It's kind of makes sense. You kind of see him. He scored like 6 points, 7 points, 7 points his first 3 games in summer league, which, coming from a lottery pick, you would think he would shoot more shots. I think he's only shooting like 6 shots a game or something like that. Braden Burries has been far the better prospect coming from the Bucks. So the way things are looking for Nate Ament, not great. I haven't watched a ton of his games in depth so far, but from what I see from the box score, it's not great. And then big, I watched this game yesterday, and it was almost like watching paint dry for how bad they were playing. But the first half of the Chicago Bulls Washington Wizards game, Dalen Swain, I believe he was picked at number 15 or 16 in the first round. Absolutely horrible. And I'm not saying he's a terrible player, but absolutely looks lost out there in summer league. I believe he's shooting like 9% from the field in summer league. I want to say in one of the games he went 0 for 7, not making a single shot, and that's very concerning for a guy. You saw him in the NCAA tournament, who's like increasing, like huge stock boost based off of the NCAA tournament and how he performed. Able to pull up jumpers, hit spot up threes. Can't do any of that in summer league, which is a big cause for concern. So might have hit, with Caleb Wilson at number 4, but number 15, 16, Dalen Swain, not looking too great right now. But like I said, it's just summer league. Then 3 guys that are pleasant surprises that you don't really have any expectations for, nor did you probably know who they were, is Arthur Kaluma for the Los Angeles Lakers. He's been absolutely on a heater, drilling threes, taking the ball to the rim, defending. I know they don't have a ton of space, and it is summer league, so I don't necessarily see the Lakers getting him. I think there's better players they could probably fill, but he's been super surprised playing on the Lakers squad, and I wouldn't be surprised if he gets picked up, a 2-way somewhere. So Arthur Kaluma, shout out to him. And then Trevon Brazil has looked absolutely great, especially this last game against the OKC Thunder, matching up against Ade Mara. And he's more of kind of like your small ball 5, stretch 4, but this guy can hit threes, and he hit 6 of them last night. So kind of a good upside guy that you have coming in for the Nuggets. I mean, he can defend, he can shoot the 3, he can rebound. So I think he could potentially be a somewhat early solution. He's no Aaron Gordon per se, but I think he could be a guy that could potentially replace a guy like Aaron Gordon and shoot a lot better than Aaron Gordon. But still a lot to be seen, but great things from him so far. And then, of course, Malik Thomas, already talked about him in the Cavs. Guy who's a second-round pick, I believe. Kind of throwing up the numbers that he's throwing up, poise that he is, you weren't really expecting. So it's great to see something from a guy like that. But that's basically it for Summer League. It's going to get interesting. And the way I kind of place my bets today is based off of the format of Summer League. So each team gets 4 games, to play in Summer League. The top 4 advance to do a playoff to essentially compete for the Summer League championship, and then the rest play a consolation game afterwards. So I've been looking at teams potentially that have a chance to be in that top 4. Top 2 teams, Atlanta and the Los Angeles Lakers, are most likely already in with their 3-0 records. But a lot of these teams who are 2-1 are, still vying for that position. So look for that. And then also the tiebreaker is point differential. So even if a team, is favored by 2, 3, 4 points, like they're going to run up the score to get that point differential if they're winning. So I wouldn't be too afraid of spreads when you're looking at these teams wanting to compete for the Summer League title. But that's basically it I have for Summer League. I will say also be wary of some teams that might have like very like high draft pick prospects, because some of them might play, some of them might not play, and you've seen a lot of these teams first start off with AJ DeManza and the Washington Wizards, them saying, "Hey, you're done with Summer League." So look out for that. And if you're looking at a team that's playing against another team that has a high-profile prospect, possibly take that into account and maybe kiss a line when it opens, because then you get a line like we kind of had with the Cavs-Pelicans game, where I wasn't sure if Malik Thomas was going to play or not, but I ended up playing the Pelicans, and they later announced today Malik Thomas wasn't going to play. So line movement very much in my favor. So hopefully they pull that one out. I'd be very upset if they end up losing that game. But that's basically it. Oh, and they're down 10 points in the 4th quarter, so I think I'm cooked for that one. But that's about it for me in Summer League. I think that kind of wraps up our agenda for today.
Sweet. All right. Well, we'll see you guys next week and have a winner for the World Cup.
Yes. Who are you rooting for?
I don't want Messi to win. Like, I'm a Ronaldo fan, albeit not a diehard one. Spain hasn't won it forever. Yeah. Go Spain. I wanted Mbappé to win, but
yeah, I like Mbappé is like a very. I guess Messi is a likable guy, and it's true. When we saw this with the OKC Thunder this past playoff run, right, where people don't like people winning too much, and like the OKC Thunder hasn't even won a ton, but Argentina, they've been winning a lot recently. They just kind of, people want to see a new person win, and especially with a lot of the questionable stuff that's been going on with the Argentina games. At the end of the day, I don't have a team in particular I'm rooting for. I just want a good match, something that's exciting. Unfortunately, with how the final ended up turning out, I think it's probably going to be definitely not a lackluster like goal fest per se. I think it's going to be a very low scoring game. So unfortunate, but hopefully it's a good game nonetheless.
Sweet. We'll see you guys next week.
All right. Catch y'all later. Peace.